You're watching Mavericks on YourStory. I'm Shivani Muthana. Our very first Maverick is a cricket fanatic who grew up playing gully cricket and first started up from a gully in suburban Mumbai, hoping to build a massive company that could be put on the world map. His infectious positivity and boyish charms could easily bowl you over. Today, he's at the helm of a global provider of enterprise platforms for marketeers.
What's my story? Oh my God. I have a huge passion to do something different, and that's how I define myself. We just said, hey, if mobile takes off and internet takes off, there are two ifs there, then if we build an advertising platform there, that could be an interesting thing to do. That was it, and there was no believer of that, by the way. Rejections is a thing which in entrepreneurship you learn first. Looking forward, it's very hard for you to know, where things are, going. But if you look backwards, in hindsight, you can connect all the dots. As a child, I always wanted to be a cricketer, and I connect cricket a lot to the journey of an entrepreneur. Think of a rhythm of a bowler bowling and a batsman batting. Entrepreneurship is that rhythm. You have to do it day in and day out. Innovation has been a constant theme, and that has been a big pivotal reason why we are what we are today. We have shown the world that India can actually create a global technology company and stand on its own. Back in 2007, 2008, mobile was anyway just starting to grow a lot. We felt India could be a great place to do something in the mobile industry. And we realized that this whole internet ecosystem may, at that point of time, might actually come on mobile. We just said, hey, if mobile takes off and internet takes off, there are two ifs there, then if we build an advertising platform there, and everyone was like, are you kidding me? Who is going to see on their mobile screens? And those times the screens were necessarily smaller and the iPhone had just come out, so not everybody saw it. We launched M-Coach in late 2007, early 2008 as a platform for SMS-based advertising. And the idea was very simple. There were billions of SMSs floating around, and we thought that there could be a way to make this textual-based communication channel free through advertising. What we didn't understand very well, which we did eventually over the next several months, was the asynchronous nature of text messages did not lend well to an advertising ecosystem around it. So we gave that up to effectively then launch InMobi, which was more in the space of internet. And we said, look, we might as well focus on a big macro. And internet is obviously a big macro. That being on the mobile platform, that was a bet we took. We went about talking to 20 plus venture capitalists in India, and all of them are like exceptionally smart people, but they didn't see where we were coming from. They didn't see that internet in general on mobile platforms would be a big thing. And so therefore, our service would not necessarily be that useful. And they somewhere rejected this. And now, as an entrepreneur, it is hard to be confident about your own self because you're looking for validation at all points of time, especially as a very early stage entrepreneur, right? So it was probably one of the lowest phases. Rejections is a thing which in entrepreneurship you learn first. But nobody prepares you for rejections. Entrepreneurship is like a test match. You start playing like a T20, and then you realize that that's not the way you're going to win this game. It's like in the T20 zone when you're in very early, you're going through these emotions of highs and lows every few days and few months, and that's the early days of entrepreneurship. One day essentially becomes when you become a little more set about where this is headed. You plan a little better, but still not completely there. And people have famously said an overnight success takes a decade. And you have to plan the decade. You have to plan, it is very similar to the plan of test match where you plan things on a session by session basis. Think of a rhythm of a bowler bowling and a batsman batting. That's a rhythm, right? The batsman kind of stands there, checks his guard, looks up, bowler on his mark, fielders in the right position, you come in and you bowl. Then you go back and you do it again, and you do it again. That's a rhythm, right? It's like a heartbeat. The rhythm is exactly the same. The output starts to change when you consistently do the right thing again and again. in the very early phases of our journey, the fact that we didn't give up, by the way, when we were so close to shutting down, probably 3 weeks away, less than a few $1,000s in our bank account, is a very big moment for us. And I think we did that and we stuck to it, and that paid off. I think it was a last-ditch effort to take a flight and say, hey, why don't we just go to US and go to San Francisco and Silicon Valley and somehow try and see if there is a taker for this there. So we made that trip. Just the problem was we didn't have money to even make that trip, which is where we not only maxed out our credit cards, we did different ways to just fund the ticket to go to the US, and things were different. The people were receptive of it. They understood. There were apprehensions about funding us in India. Eventually, obviously, we had Kleiner Perkins and Ram Shri Ram essentially say, hey, we think this is a brilliant idea. It's been a terrific journey with InMobi. We built that out first in Asia, thinking actually that the mobile internet usage will actually go significantly high in Asian markets because it doesn't have the PC penetration. Before we realized that this is a phenomenon not just restricted to Asian countries, but also to developed markets. So therefore we went into Europe, went into Japan, went into China, and eventually went into the US also. The decision to essentially be a global company was a big pivotal moment for us to say, hey, you know what? We can build this in India, we'll be successful, but we'll be a small company. But if we can think outside the box where everybody's told us not to do so, but go global. So today we are very proud of the fact that we are a global product company out of India. Another big moment for us was when we were able to essentially get SoftBank to back us up because that changed the trajectory and the thinking at which we wanted to progress and do things. So 2016 was a tougher year. We had one customer loss. It was a year where we had to transform our thinking drastically with regards to what the future would look like. And again, I say this very often, and it's a very famous quote from Steve Jobs, that looking forward, it's very hard for you to know, where things are, going. But if you look backwards, in hindsight, you can connect all the dots. And to me, today, I sit here in 2019, I'm very thankful that 2016 happened because it changed us drastically in many dimensions. It changed us into a much more stronger company, a much more tighter company. All my passwords in the early days used to be something around Sachin or Tendulkar. I am a big fanboy. He's been grounded. He has had a lot of spectacular failures, but he's come back again and again. He's taken the burden and the pressure. That's the same thing that an entrepreneur also has to go through, where you can't succumb under pressure. We saw some signs that things might go tough for us, so why should we not become very controlled about how we progress and move forward? And we said one of the things we'll try and achieve is we'll become profitable, and we did become profitable in a matter of 60 days. And it was not as if we were trying to cut costs, etc., etc. We were just very prudent about what we were going to focus on and work upon, and that gave us profitability, and we've been profitable ever since. On one hand, we have a very strong mobile-first advertising marketing platform with very strong capabilities around data and media. But at the same time, over the last few years, we have built out probably one of the fastest growing B2C platform on screen zero. So they have search and social, we have screen zero. And it's called Glance. That's the fastest growing consumer platform now in India. We are also working on a very unique data platform that we are creating. It's called True Factor. So we have 3 companies within our InMobi group. InMobi in itself, True Factor and Glance. Look, I think what we have done as a result of the partnerships that we have done with Microsoft and 2 acquisitions in 2018 that we have done and a partnership with Sprint, I think what we have done is we have established ourselves as a major force in the space of marketing and advertising, in the space of media and software across the world. We are still in the first 15 overs. The journey has to be such that it goes beyond my lifetime. It has to be a fundamental company. It's not a company that we have built at least on the basis of rapid market share through capital measures, but it's a company that we've built which is through innovation and high quality product that we gain market share because of that. About 1.8 billion mobile subscribers can be reached through InMobi. It's my life.
So you've been viewed as one of the poster boys of the Indian startup world. What's it like to have that title to your name?
It's obviously honoring, but you know, the Indian startup world is evolving, and so we were one of the early ones. So therefore, getting that is easier. Obviously, has a lot of responsibility to it, but it's nice.
What do you do when you're not working?
Apart from being a lot into the sports, as you saw, started collecting a lot of art. This is a Malaysian artist called Fauzal Yusri, and it's a you know, it's like a child's mind. This is displaying a child's mind. So therefore, you can see all sorts of things which are just in this array, but they're all starting to come together.
That's interesting. And what would the one superpower be if you had one?
Oh my God! If you can see the future, maybe. Look, I think a big part of the job of any entrepreneur is to predict the future, is to see the future, and you know, at times you feel, just wish I just knew that, you know, what's going to happen in the future. That'd be amazing. But then it would take all the fun out. So I don't know whether I really want it or not. Why don't I show you my study?
It's my
yes, it's my little den, and it's my office away from office, and you know, bunch of stuff here. And I love this place because I end up spending a lot of time here.
I can see lots of gadgets. I've heard you collect a lot of gizmos and gadgets. What's the one that you've taken a fancy to lately?
Well, you know, I'll show you this one. The whole place, this is an Oculus. This is all about virtual reality. So you feel as if you're like in the picture when you see something. So you'll watch a movie or you watch some scene or you play a game as if you're like literally playing that in your part of the game. So this is a nice gadget. I don't use it that often.
What is that about? Something about the Godfather with your picture in it?
Team at InMobi ended up giving this to me as a title very recently. I think it's more to do with the fact that I treat the company like family, and I treat everyone with, you know, as a philosophy. You know, the philosophy of the company is that, you know, we care for each other, we care about each other, and we should. The only way to grow in life is if you care. And that probably is the reason why they kind of linked a bunch of these things to, you know, to give me this title. Felt very proud.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. Lots of interesting books here as well. One from Satya Nadella there.
Yeah, so yes, that's the one I have just finished reading. It's called Hit Refresh. Satya wrote this, you know, as he's transitioning Microsoft from being what it was to where it is today. And he actually sent us this signed copy. So very proud of it. So it's like, you know, one of his first signed editions. So
yeah.
very proud of that. I also have this book from Shane Warne called No Spin. Through a friend, you know, he sent it over. Again, you know, phenomenal player, changed the world of cricket. So, you know, a maverick in his own right.
So cricket, of course, one of your key hobbies. The other thing, languages, you know, considering that China is such a big market for you, you picked up a little Mandarin.
I did. You know, so it is a hard language. I gave a speech in it. I've forgotten all of it. So
what's the one thing that you remember? At least a greeting?
Ni hao.
Okay. What is this picture? Very interesting of you with a champagne bottle there.
Yeah. It was one of those pivotal moments for the company when we closed the deal with SoftBank. So, you know, I opened the bottle. So that's pretty much what it is. And a proud moment for everyone. It's at a company event. So we
when
did this.
InMobi became the first unicorn.
It is that moment, yeah. So that's why it's important and dear to.
Great celebratory picture over there. What would your next Maverick move be, or what is that big bold move that you have planned for the year?
I'll show this to you. A B2C application. It's called Glance, and you know, you can see it here. It's effectively, it converts your screen zero into a content stream, an AI-driven content stream. It's the fastest growing consumer application on mobile phones right now in India. It's already reached about 35 million daily active users. By end of this year, we expect this to be one of the top 10 applications in the world. So it's a great way for us to change the way consumers use their phones in India.
That's something that we'll certainly
Yes.
watch out for.
Yes.
You know, at one time you said that it takes a lot of guts and to some level of foolishness, you know, when you were
Yes.
younger to be an entrepreneur. So is that something that you still follow?
It is, and actually, let me show you a book which was written at the, when we finished about 10 years in the company, and the book is called, the book is titled InMobi, The Guts and the Grit. And I'll show you this book. It is effectively written by InMobians, but the story inside them, every InMobian, like a bunch of InMobians have written stories, but if you read through every story here, it is about the guts and the grit. We fundamentally believe that it's these two things which takes for you to build anything.
Well, wish you all the best and
Thank
a
you
lot
so
more guts and grit. Thanks for being our Maverick.
And thank you for coming in here.